Hello and welcome to the Yerky Boys. May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you. My name is Will.
My name is Jonathan.
And we are
The Yerky Boys.
We're doing book 47, The Resistance.
Released in October of 2000. Wow. Halloween book.
I guess that's true.
How everyone's dressing up like a beaver this month.
Halloween book? Beaver
not to
book?
get ahead of ourselves.
Yeah, well, it's hard. How can you contain yourself for the beaver book?
Yeah,
Long awaited.
This is kind of a big episode. It's our last episode of the season before we get to the Chronicles book.
Mm-hmm.
I think that this is going to be an interesting one to discuss. Not least of which is just partially the format changes in this one. It really, I thought, put you in the shoes of the Animorphs and feeling like, you know, how they're always having to hide in the shadows and you don't want the other people to know your true identity. And it felt like a more interactive addition to the Animorphs universe, and that you need other people to experience this one. You actually need them at the table.
I'm hoping that you actually... So you were supposed to read a book for this, right? It wasn't a game you were playing.
Well, I thought, yeah, there's the rule book.
Well, it's just a book. It's not. There's no game attached to this one. I think you might have accidentally played The Resistance.
Are you telling me that the social deduction tabletop card game, The Resistance, isn't what I was supposed to do for this week?
Well, put it this way. Are there any beavers in The Resistance? Because there should have been beavers.
Yeah, I guess. No, thinking back, I don't think there's a single beaver in it. This is embarrassing.
I think
this
you might,
is embarrassing.
Hopefully you'll be able to. I think you'll be able to get kind of the gist of it. But just kind of get into the headspace of a beaver, and we'll probably be on the right track, I think.
Okay. Do you think that this one is too niche? Do you think enough people know about the Resistance card game that this will translate? Or
I don't think it matters. Who cares?
Okay, yeah. Who gives a shit? Okay, we do have a little bit of sharing to do though. First,
the sharing.
First, I want to say we did get a big email from Nick No Name. With thoughts on a lot of different books. We're going to save that for a few weeks from now. We're going to read it during our season recap episode because it kind of has some all-encompassing thoughts about different books and the season as a whole. So it just seems like a better fit there. So Nick, hang tight. We'll read it in a few weeks. And now you have a few weeks to write even more thoughts if you want an even longer email for that episode. We'll just add it to the pile. Yeah, and let that go for everyone, too.
Yeah, it's coming up. Now's the time to start thinking about your season thoughts, so you can send them in to us at theyerkyboys@gmail.com.
That's right. Good one. But we didn't have the sharing just to say that we're not reading an email. We do have an email from a listener who hasn't written in before.
Whoa, new listener.
New writer. Well, I'll let them explain it because...
Okay.
And this is directly related to this old business from last week's book, number 46, The Deception.
Okay.
So
let's hear it.
If you didn't listen to that, go listen to it. The subject line is Visser Two and Why He's Garbage.
Oh, boy.
And this comes from Clark.
Kent?
Yeah, it might be Clark Kent. Might be. Clark writes, "Hello, Yerky boys.
Hi.
May the Kandrona shine and strengthen you."
And you as well.
And also with you. I'm a long-time listener, but first-time sharer. I felt compelled to email you this week because the most recent book, number 46, The Deception, made me particularly angry even as a child and continues to do so into my life as a well-adjusted adult. We can all agree that Visser Two sucks. He sucks out loud. He sucks on toast. He sucks more than me, a gay man during Pride Month. I'm just reading the email, folks. I'm just reading it.
Oh, that wasn't you editorializing?
No. However, I feel like you guys slightly glossed over exactly why he sucks.
Mm-hmm.
It makes no sense that he is such a cheerleader for the new Visser 1, formerly Visser 3. This is a Yeerk who until recently would have outranked Esplin. It's simply incomprehensible to me that someone who possessed the level of ambition, drive, and presumably competence, although maybe not, considering Visser 3 managed to get promoted, to reach that rank would in a matter of days turn around and become the simpering lickspittle we see in this book. Not only that, but he's simping for the person who got promoted over him. The character as written simply doesn't work from an overarching narrative perspective. I was 11 years old when this book came out, and even then I could see that the character didn't work. That's why since then I formulated a headcanon as to why this character appears here. Here it comes.
Yeah, I want to hear it.
We know that the original Visser 1, Edris, ends up being executed for in some way bungling the Anati homeworld situation. My personal theory is that there was at that time a different Visser 2 who was also at work in the Anati system. Being prone as they are to backstabbing and infighting, Edris and this Visser 2 would butt heads and play politics against each other, eventually escalating into a conflict that ends with this Visser 2 being killed and Edris being held responsible. Thus, Edris, already on thin ice, is convicted of treason. There is no Visser 2 to be promoted to Visser 1, and lacking other options, the Council of 13 promotes Esplin. With his newfound influence at the top of the Yeerk military, Esplin installs a lackey as the new Visser 2. This explains why we ended up with such a trash, boring toady of a character instead of somebody interesting in what should be a pivotal reveal. I know I've already spent more time thinking about this than either K.A. Applegate or Elise Donner did, and this rant is roughly half the length of the deception on its own. This has just bothered me for a very long time, so now I'm inflicting my fan fiction on you in the form of this email. Anyway, love the podcast, and looking forward to hearing your reaction to K.A. Applegate positing that Trekkies are actually just like freed slaves when you think about it. Keep up the great work, Clark.
Oh boy. Exciting episode upcoming. Yeah, that's way more involved than I was gonna get, because I was gonna say, oh, maybe this isn't the same Visser 2. Maybe someone else just got promoted, and leave it at that. I'm glad we had a whole story though for it.
This is, like I said, this is what I was talking about when I said I wanted to see throughout the season cut back and forth and see the politics on the Anati homeworld. You could have had all this stuff.
Yeah.
It is true, even though we did talk about Visser 2 being very boring, that is something that I didn't think about really out loud, is it's not just bad for his character and his position in the Yeerk hierarchy, but in general, as Yeerks have been characterized, especially Vissers, they're all backstabbing each other and challenging each other and out for glory and wanting to, the council's fucking eating each other and whatever the fuck. And this guy's just immediately like, he doesn't seem to have any ambition outside of just carrying out the mission. But I guess it's hard to say because we don't really get to know that many Vissers, so maybe this is unique to the Vissers we know, but it feels like all these Vissers should be fucking each other up all the time.
Yeah, because it feels like, I mean, we meet a lot of sub-Vissers who also act like this, so you got to imagine.
Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, like, it really, like, the problem is that he's boring, and it's like, yeah, I don't want to think about it anymore because, like, he's just nothing, but yes, it is definitely even more of a tragedy that this character is, like, so there's just nothing to hang on to or care about when it's so easy to, like, if you think about it for 1 second, which again, I'm not really invited to when the character is boring, I don't care enough to, but like, when you think about it for 1 second, as Clark says, this character is interesting potentially. Like, this is a character, like, Visser 2, what the hell? Visser 3 just got bumped over them, or maybe some other one died and someone else, or got demoted and some new Visser 2 got there. There's some really interesting politics going on here. So, yes, it's even more of a tragedy we just dropped the ball on that entirely.
And what the fuck was Visser 2 doing before this? Like, something really important, right?
Probably.
More important than Earth.
Maybe there just wasn't a Visser 2. They executed some Visser Two, and they just never bothered to promote anyone to that position until now.
Maybe that's what it is. Yeah. Okay. Well, Clark, I hope that this was cathartic for you. I hope you got it out of your system. Maybe you can move on with your life now that two strangers on a podcast have read what you said and put it out into the world.
Yeah.
And I think you should write this fan fiction. I think you should expand on this fully.
Yeah, maybe we'll even cover it on the podcast on our fan fiction episodes.
Yeah. Okay.
Maybe.
So thanks for that. You can write an email to us at, again, theyerkyboys@gmail.com. You can also sign up for our Patreon. If you like what we do, go to patreon.com/theyerkyboys. And we do bonus episodes and all kinds of fun stuff over there. So check that out. We'd love it. Boom.
Yeah. Done. Boy,
Boom.
We really sped through that sharing.
Yep.
All right. So this book, The Resistance, this is our last Ellen Jarrow book, is it not? I believe.
It is the final Ellen.
No more Jarrows.
No more Jarrows.
I finally figured out how to say her last name, and now it's already over.
That's a real shame. That's a real shame. Pour one out for Ellen.
Mm-hmm.
R.I.P. Well, she's alive.
Is she?
But, well, I think so.
I don't know. I feel like every time I looked for her, it was just, which wasn't that much. It was just kind of like, yeah, she did those Animorphs. Did you know anything more about her?
I don't remember. Whatever it was, we talked about it the first time she showed up, and that's enough. Don't ask me to know it again.
I do have a question about Ellen Jarrow here for this book, which I think is relevant and important.
Okay.
Is Ellen Jarrow black? Because I think the answer to this question does change how I engage with this book.
I mean, I certainly didn't imagine that she was.
I don't get that impression either. But, like, there's some parts in this book that I'm going to come at, if I don't know, I'm going to come at saying this feels like maybe a little uncomfortable or problematic or like it doesn't quite line up. And if if I found out that she was black, I would come at it with a much more open mind to like, well, if I can't outright state exactly what's wrong, then like maybe that's not my place to call out.
I love anyone who has not read this book.
Yeah, you're all like, uh-oh,
what the
shit,
fuck
what's gonna happen? Oh no.
As far as I can tell, Jarrow is like a French in origin name, so I don't know. I don't know. I don't know.
No idea.
I'm guessing it's probably not likely that she is black. That's my guess. Do I know that for sure? No. Yeah. But I think it's safe. It's probably safe to assume it.
Well, bear in mind our position of indeterminate, but probably not, as we discuss this book.
Yeah. As it says on Seropedia, the 15th book narrated by Jake, and the first and only narrated by Isaiah Fitzhenry. Oh, he doesn't come back? There's no Fitzhenry Chronicles?
No, I think we're getting ahead of ourselves here.
I'm sorry. Well, that's just the first thing on the page. That's all.
But we haven't even talked about the beaver on the cover of this book.
It's the beaver book.
This is the beaver book. Have you been hyped for the beaver book?
No. Well, didn't this all come about because maybe it was Nick, I forget who it was who.
I almost feel like it was Nick. I'm trying to remember, but yeah.
Whoever introduced the idea of the Animorphs flop era, they were talking about all the boring animals on covers, and they're like a beaver book. And I think it was you at the time. I have a memory of you saying, correct me if I'm wrong.
Mm-hmm. I remember what I said because I remember what I was thinking.
Saying the beaver book might be a banger or something along those lines. Did you say that?
I said something along those lines, but I actually remember the exact mind headspace that I was in at the time, which is some of the books that he mentioned were definitely bangers. Okay. Yeah. And some of them were not. I knew some of them were bad. I knew some of them were good. I actually did not. I specifically called out the Beaver book, and part of the reason was because I did not quite remember which book the Beaver book was. So I'm gonna just So here's the thing about this book. My memories of this book are all of the stuff that happens in this book is stuff that I remember happens in a book. But especially around this era, I start getting a little, it's like, oh yeah, there was a book that was like that around this time. Which one was that again? Oh geez. And because it's all kind of muddled due to Animorphs fatigue on my first time reading and all that stuff, I can't quite place it. So at the time I was like, I think the Beaver book, it actually might be bad, but it might be one of the good ones. I'm trying to remember. So that's what I was thinking at the time.
Okay. Fair enough.
Which should tell, maybe that actually tells you something about the quality of this book that I'm not quite sure, or I wasn't quite sure which one it was. And I had to check it immediately after, and then I remembered. But
well, we're going to remember it after today. You'll never forget it again, I don't think.
I will never forget it again. Listen, the Beaver book, it's still exciting to me. I mean, how can you not be excited by the phrase Beaver book?
Yeah. It's a banger of an episode, that's for sure.
That is for sure.
Yeah. And just as a reminder, if there's any new listeners, of course, you have at some point you have read all these books a few times, I believe. And I'm fresh. First time I'm a virgin to the Beaver book.
Yes, you are.
I have had no beaver before this episode.
You're a beaver virgin.
That's right. We're mature. Okay.
That's right.
Let's dive right into this beaver, okay? On the cover here. Jake is turning into a beaver. I'm just going to get right out here and say this. This might be the worst cover they've ever done.
It's really bad. It's not good.
I hate this model of Jake, but I also don't.
So bad. Oh yeah.
Yeah. I don't know if I can fully blame the model because it is just the way his face is illustrated. I think is just shitty. Like it looks like they needed to do another pass on him.
Yeah, like his hair, and his hair looks fucked up. Yeah, the way it's illustrated is bad. His expression looks shitty. His pose just looks shitty. The whole thing everything about it is just not good.
This looks like, you haven't watched the show Hannibal, but have you seen the meme where he draws, or maybe it's just a real psychiatry thing maybe about where you try to draw a clock?
I don't know this thing.
There's a thing that's supposed to test your mental health, I think, of trying to draw a clock from memory, and how well you do it says something about you. I don't know the details, but on the show Hannibal,
sure.
I'm sorry for this tangent. I'm sorry.
No, it's okay. I want to hear.
Now I have to.
Yeah.
On the show Hannibal, Hannibal is this other character's psychiatrist, or he doesn't know he's fucking a cannibal, and he's manipulating him, and he's like, oh, here, draw this clock for me, and he's like, oh, it's perfect, good job, and then you see the piece of paper and the clock is all fucked up, and the guy doesn't even realize because he's so psychologically far gone at this point. And I'm just imagining someone hey, draw a kid turning into a beaver. And their fucked up interpretation is this cover. It just looks like shit. Thank you. It was worth it. It was all worth it. If you knew the meme and if I made an image of it, you would love it. But having to explain it out loud, it's not as successful. That's fine. I worked the best I could with the medium I was given, okay?
Yeah, it's too bad we never actually used our Twitter to post or anything.
maybe it's time for another meme. Maybe this will be our first Twitter post in a year. But it doesn't even, if you put this side by side with all the other covers, it looks like a different artist did this one. It looks shitty.
Yeah, it does not look good. And that, I mean, it doesn't, even on top of that, like, this is the whole argument of, like, look at all the boring, shitty animals on the cover. Like, this is pretty high on that list, right? Like, who fucking cares that he gets to turn into a beaver? At least when they turn into birds, you're kind of like, okay, sure. They always turn into birds, so this is just like a story. Like, we're just going to have an Animorph story. We're not that focused on a cool new animal. We're focused on an Animorph story. And maybe that's good, maybe that's bad. I don't know. But in this, it's like, it's a beaver. Aren't you? The new book in which they're a beaver. Aren't you excited for the beaver? No, I'm not. And on the cover, it's not drawn in an exciting way either. Like, it's literally just kind of sitting there. It could be like bearing its incisors or holding some wood, or I don't know, but it's literally, he's just there.
Yeah. I mean, I kind of like the third little beaver dude. Just little short Jake looking like a little rat man.
I mean, look, rodents are cute. Don't get me wrong, but
yeah, it sucks on ice. And how about that quote?
What would you do if you lost your mind, ... to a yerk? Haven't we had this one before?
It's just
like this 5 times.
It's not good. And also it should be punch up if you lost your mind to a yerk ... question mark. The dots dots should be moved to the end, I think, to be consistent with the other quotes.
But they want like a dramatic pause after it lost your mind.
But it's also, it's a stupid question. Yeah. Both of them, what would you do if you lost your mind? I don't know, I'd be crazy. Okay, but what if you lost it to a yerk? Oh, then I wouldn't do anything because I can't.
Yeah, you do what the yerk told you to.
Yeah. Okay.
I do like that Jake's hair still has a part in the third beaver thing. That's kind of nice. Yeah.
Look, can you imagine that little beaver Jake combing his hair?
Yeah, it's nice.
I love that. Also, the title, a lot of times we forget to talk about the titles of these books. Often it's because we don't know what the fuck they're even referring to. Mm-hmm. This is one of those that could be the name of any book.
Yeah.
But it also does, I'm like, well, I know there's a yerk resistance thing. You know, I'm like, oh, I was curious, what is this going to be about? And we're going to find out.
We are going to find out. Now, if you flip to the inside cover, I don't know if you're looking at that.
Yeah.
We got the inside quote, busy as a beaver, ...
Okay. That's not bad. That's fine.
That's kind of
fine. What are you going to do? I mean, is it the first thought you would have? Yes. But
well,
fine.
It's the first thought that's appropriate for a children's book.
Yeah, why didn't they say, let's dive into this beaver? Oh, well.
Yeah, there's a picture. It's nice. I like the little landscape in the mountains and, you know.
Yeah, there's the beaver in the foreground, and then you see some more in the pond behind him working on a dam.
Yeah. There's a tree he ate.
Yeah, he's eating some of the tree. I mean, it's better than the front cover.
Yeah.
It's a lot better than that.
So here's a little thing that I'm wondering about. On this inside cover, we've got this scene of a beaver making a dam. Right. No, it doesn't. There's a bit in this story where a beaver, they turn into beavers and make a dam, I guess.
Yeah.
It's not the most exciting thing that happens in the book by a long shot. I look at this thing at the top that says busy as a beaver. It's just about beavers. The front quote, what would you do if you lost your mind? It's nothing. I read the inside cover. It's just him turning into a beaver. And I'm starting to wonder, do you think that the people who, like the scholastic people who named it and did the quote, do you think they had any idea what was in this book? like at all? Or do you think that they were just told there is a beaver, that they're going to turn into a beaver? That's the animal. Figure something out. Just do it. I don't know what the book is yet. I don't know. Just do the beaver thing.
That seems extremely plausible.
Can I read the back of the book to you? Because on the back, they do like a plot summary of the book.
Right.
And they usually spoil like at least half the book in the plot summary.
Right.
So, okay, I'm going to read the whole one here. The Animorphs and Axe have to make the most important decision they've ever had to make. Do they continue to fight the Yeerks in secret, or is it time to let everyone know there is a resistance, that the Animorphs exist, and that Earth does stand a small chance against the invasion? Jake knows that either choice is a major one, not one that some kid should be responsible for. But he's getting tired of the pressure. So even though he realizes the other Animorphs need him to be strong, he doesn't feel that way. In fact, he feels just the opposite. And Jake knows if he starts to lose it, the Animorphs are done. Would you say that's what happens in this book?
Well, the first half feels... It's kind of... I mean, that last sentence, no. The rest of it, I would say, is present, but it just doesn't go into the specifics. It's talking more about Jake's internal thoughts, and it doesn't actually tell you the plot.
Like at all. Because normally on these backs, I don't read them, but normally they do spoil like a huge percentage of the plot. And this one does not even like get to the inciting incident of the book.
Yeah, that is unusual. It's also... I don't know if they're all like that, but that sounded bad. Poorly written.
They're not good. Don't.
And like kind of long too. Weirdly long.
Yeah. No. It's always about that long, and they're not that good. But the other thing is that all of those thoughts are in like the first chapter. Like Jake is kind of thinking those things to himself, and it's not like that doesn't come up later in the book. But again, this is kind of. I'm really thinking that nobody had any idea what was going to happen with this book. Like that, why? Like they just got like a blurb about him turning into a beaver, maybe the first chapter, and they were just like, I don't know, Ellen's going to make something for us. I guess we're publishing it. We don't have time. I don't know. Yeah. Just my pet theory here.
Busy working on Ellimist Chronicles. They had to come out the same month, or was it same month as 48?
I think this is the same month as Ellimist Chronicles. Yeah, because if 48 was same month as Ellimist Chronicles, I would have done it first. So it must be after.
Yeah. Otherwise, the cover should have been Jake morphing into Isaiah Fitzhenry.
Yeah. Yeah, no mention of that gimmick at all, but all right.
I mean, that's what I prefer. Like I like that back cover because it doesn't reveal anything. Mm-hmm. Like that's the teaser I would like. That doesn't give it away. That just makes you go, "Oh, I'm intrigued," and then you're like, "Holy shit, what the fuck?" Mm-hmm. But it is weird that that's the outlier.
Yeah. All right. Do we want to actually talk about what is in this book?
Do I want to? Yeah, I guess I do. Ellen Jarrow, I'm the Ellen Jarrow champion on this show.
Ellen Jarrow champion.
I champion her. I'm the Stan, number one president of the Ellen Jarrow fan club.
I did say like 2 books ago that there was an Ellen Jarrow book coming up that my memory was that it was bad, but maybe I would have to give it another shot since I'm liking her now. So
yeah,
I did say that.
Maybe I like it.
Yeah, well, maybe I do too. You don't know. All right.
Maybe we both like it.
The Beaver book. All right. So this book, I actually like how this book opens. The opening is, "My name is Jake, but you already know who I am." I like that. Come on.
Sure.
Do you like that? Okay, fine. You don't care.
Right? I don't care.
All right. So Jake he's like talking in the book to the reader about how like, oh, things are moving fast now and the Yeerks are on the move big time. It's a dangerous time for the Animorphs, blah, blah, blah. He is at home with his family. and things are still like kind of mundane going on there. His mom asks him to do some chores, which includes clearing out some storage in the basement. It's like all dark and stormy and the power goes out. There's like a scene, kind of an ominous scene with Tom, where Tom has to head out for preparations or something like that. Jake is clearing out storage and he finds an old diary addressed to him from Grandpa G. Remember him from book 31?
Yeah, Grandpa G.
Yeah, I love Grandpa G. But it's got the name Fitzhenry on it. It's the diary of Jake's great uncle, the Civil War hero Isaiah Fitzhenry. And anyway, yeah, he finds this diary and then he like goes back to helping his mother and stuff. So before we get into like kind of the gimmick of this book and what's coming here, I do kind of want to talk about this opening bit here with Jake and his family.
Yeah. I mean,
I'm sure you have the same complaint I do, like right off the bat.
Oh, I'm curious. I don't know if I have a direct complaint.
Interesting.
But maybe if you say it, I will.
It does not seem to matter at all to Jake's home life that Marco is dead.
Huh.
Like, in fact, there's even a part where his mom is talking about him cleaning out the basement, and he's like, hey, if you want a cozy place for you and your friends to hang out, you should get to work. And it's like, are you serious? His best friend just died. Are you serious? Like, this, I don't know. To me, like, this is a very interesting, like, this is an interesting point, right? Like, Jake has to pretend like he's in mourning for his best friend, and it's, like, deadly serious because, like, if he lets on that he isn't in mourning, they could all be fucked because Tom's there. Tom even thinks Marco's dead. Like, this is a really, like, intense thing that's going on. And it just kind of doesn't matter. Right?
Yeah, you're completely right. I'm not going to lie. I mean, I did not think about this at all. I mean,
it was really that line that I read it and I was like, what the fuck, Jake's mom? Are you serious?
I don't know what this says about the way these books are presented or where I'm at in the process of reading them. I don't know if it's that, I just don't expect them to address this because they often do gloss over issues like this.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, I'm almost mad at myself. Like, why did this not bother me? I was just like, oh yeah, Marco's pretending to be dead. That's right. Yeah, I remember. Like, I guess maybe
it's about Marco even, you'd think.
I know, like, maybe in my head, I'm sort of thinking, is it a secret? Like, is it public that Marco's dead? But
I thought it was. At the very least, he's missing.
But I think because they don't talk about it, I guess it must just be, I don't know. Like, he's not dead, so I don't need to worry about it. Like, I know the truth. But you're right. It would be much more interesting to have to explore this aspect of his home life. Like, he should be, like you said, in mourning. Everyone should be feeling really bad for him.
And like thematically, it kind of works because we have been dealing with this idea that like as we get closer and closer to like this all-out intense war, the pressure on Jake is getting higher, and he has to like it's really like this leadership position is like kind of crushing him. And his home life, like you'd think that's his time to kind of like, okay, I can relax and be a child again. And that's always kind of been tainted by Tom being around, but not really. But like this should be like extremely, I don't know if like claustrophobic is the right word, but just like there's no release. There's no point at which he doesn't have to be playing this role to like an extreme degree. You know what I mean? And like that to me, like that all ties in really well, and it's just kind of not here.
Yeah, I mean, it is it's very much in the spirit of Animorphs that they just don't have time to explore that stuff. Certainly not now when they're actually ostensibly moving towards an end game.
Yeah.
But yeah, I mean, they could have, well, I could think of one way they could have fit it into the book, but we'll
get there.
To that. I will just tell you
Yeah.
having not thinking about that consciously as I read this,
Yeah.
I really liked this opening scene. In fact, it might be my favorite section of the whole book.
Okay.
I think first of all, more self-examination from Jake of his role in the group and the pressures of being a leader. I'm always down for that. I think maybe it's not anything super new, but the pressure keeps mounting. He's talking about what was going on with Axe last book. Maybe he does he bring that up here? Maybe not till later, but
yeah, I'll talk about that too in a second, but yeah.
All that stuff is swirling around, so I was like, okay, this is cool. I like this self-examination. I like actually thinking about a character's psyche. And the atmosphere of this scene with the storm outside, looking through stuff in the basement by yourself, looking at old memories, Tom being a creepy fuck, which I love, and we don't always get that. And it's like it is genuinely, I thought, like a chilling moment when he's just in the kitchen in the dark staring at him. I'm like, oh shit. Like, and at this point too, I'm thinking anything could happen. Like, we're at a point where maybe Tom will find out who Jake is. Like, shit could be going down here. So I in general, I really, and this, he takes out this chest, and it's not immediately obvious what it is. And there was kind of a mystery there that I thought was fun, where I was like, what is in this chest that could be so important that they are spending this much time on it? What's this? What heirloom did Grandpa G leave Jake that's going to matter? Are we going to find out Grandpa G was an Andalite too? And he left him some shit? A Harak de l'Est? We do kind of get it. We do a little bit get a Harak de l'Est in this book.
We do get a bit of a Harak de l'Est, yeah, for sure.
So, I was on board from the beginning.
Yeah, it does have vibes very similar to book 31. The like Grandpa G, the Tom being creepy, the dark. Like, I do agree with you. I like the atmosphere of Jake's home life. Like, this is a good Jake at home scene in general. To me, it doesn't work because of its specific place in the series. Like, something huge and important just happened. And so, like, now is not the time to do a scene that's just generically good. Now is time to do a scene that's good in the context of that huge thing. You mentioned how he talks about Axe, and he does do that. He says at one point, he's like, oh yeah, I feel a little weird about Axe, and I have been a little bit weird since he did that. And he says that, and then that's that. And then, like, it doesn't, like, that's it. It's similar to Marco being in hiding, where they say he's in hiding, and then that's kind of that. Marco's in the Hork-Bajir Valley, which is going to turn out to be important to the plot of this book, but, like, it doesn't actually matter that he lives there. He could just as easily have not lived there. Doesn't matter. His parents are both living there. They barely make an appearance. It kind of doesn't matter. One thing that I was thinking about this book is that this book could have been pre-book 45. You would have had to delete like 3 paragraphs and nothing else would have changed. This could have been pre-45, and I don't know, like, it feels like we're in an era of throwing endgame ideas at the wall because we know we should be ending the series, but there's no coherent, like, progression.
40. Remind me what 45 was.
Oh, 45's the one where Marco reveals to his dad, and then fakes his death, and then they get the transponder and all that, and they rescue Visser One.
I mean, it's certainly like in the beginning of this book, even. Well, we find out. Jake says that the Animorphs have been fighting amongst themselves about whether or not to just go public, which is a fascinating thing to introduce that feels like we should have been seeing those conversations.
Yeah, that's what the back of the book says that this book is going to be about. And that would be a very interesting thing for the book to be about, and it would be a very interesting thing for them to talk about. And again, it feels like they got the first chapter and wrote that because they were like, that's clearly where they're going with this, right?
It feels like a weird cheat. I don't know if cheat's even the right word, but it's like a shortcut to something that should have been happening. Like it's like when were these conversations? This book takes place like a week after the last book, maybe, right? It's like pretty close.
Probably.
So
I don't know.
yeah, so it's like, so why? Like we should have seen those. We should have seen this. We should have been a part of this because that is a big deal. Why is it just in passing? Oh yeah, by the way, this major thing occurred off screen. Like that's what the book should be about.
Yeah.
But at the same time, I'm like, oh well, that's interesting. But I don't know.
Yeah, but the whole thing with like, oh, this could have been before book 45. I think that is also part of the reason why I don't remember this book, like which exact book this is all that well, because as a kid, I'm kind of coming into it and I'm like, all right, I got this Animorphs fatigue. They're not doing anything. Oh, here we go. Book 45. They're going to do something. And then book 46 feels like it should be doing something, but kind of doesn't. And then book 47 comes up and it's like, okay, you're doing a thing, but it doesn't really piggyback off the other things, so it doesn't really matter. And I think by the time I read this book as a kid, I was like checked out. I was like, you promised to bring me back in, and I'm kind of checking out now.
Yeah, we'll get to the main
we'll get to
plot
it
and describing it, but it is very. It's like when you're reading it, it feels like, oh, they are moving towards this end game. Important things are happening. But if you actually kind of step back and examine what the plot is, like you said, you could kind of forget about before 45. This could have been like book 32 or something. Like the actual main plot, it's only feels more important because of the stuff surrounding it, not it because of what it is inherently.
Yeah, like this is actually not that far off from book 30 in plot. We'll get to it, but
I do also like here we get we have Orson Watch for the covers. I'm
also there's an Homer Orson Watch?
Wait, no, what? No. Oh. No, I'm on Homer Watch. I was just saying I have a Homer Watch in addition to Orson Watch. They mention Homer.
They do mention Homer, you're right.
Jake's dog. He doesn't always come up.
Yeah, Homer's good. I like Homer.
I didn't mean to get you all excited.
I thought maybe there was an Orson. And then you said that and I was like, wait, is there a Homer on the cover somewhere? What? But no. Okay.
No.
You're getting me hyped up.
Listen, if you didn't get hyped up from reading that a Homer went to the vet, why did he go? What was wrong with Homer? Because it wasn't just a routine checkup. She had to go pick him up. So he was in there like for the better part of a day.
Oh no, poor Homer.
Was it a cleaning? Did he need surgery? What's wrong with Homer?
Maybe he attacked a porcupine.
Maybe he got sprayed by a skunk.
Maybe he ate a bee and his face got all puffed up.
Also, we are introducing more army military stuff. So again, at this point, I mean, it's not as annoying in terms of Jake's personality, but at this point I have to just give in and be like, okay, You've won. You've beaten me down. Jake's a military boy. He likes it. It's in his family. It's in his blood, I guess.
Yeah. No, I mean, listen, I hear what you were saying last time about you only felt like it was happening because I knew it was going to happen and I said it, which is fair. But, I don't know.
Whatever.
Yeah, that's how it is. That's just who he is now.
That's who he is.
All right, should we get to the gimmick of the book?
Yeah, and then let's quickly stop talking about it.
All right, so we now switch to the perspective. We're on chapter 3. We switch to the perspective of Isaiah Fitzhenry, Jake's great uncle. So now we're not talking about Animorphs anymore. We're talking about the Civil War. And we're telling the story of his diary in the Civil War. We're in Sinkler's Ridge, Tennessee, December 23rd, 1864. So the young 20-year-old Lieutenant Fitzhenry, he has just assumed command of his detachment because the old Major Shaw just died of fever. There's this Confederate General Forrest and his cavalry, and they're nearby. And Fitzhenry's like, oh no, the battle is going to begin soon. There's a Sergeant Rains there. I find out that the telegraph line's been cut. They're on their own. They have to defend this important rail station. They used to have like 60 men. Now they only have 25 because they've been dying off. And that's when this group of former slaves, I suppose, this group of black men show up, and they want to help fight. And Fitzhenry is like, well, you can dig some trenches to help us prepare for the battle. And one of them, named Jacob, is like, no, we want to fight. And Fitzhenry's like, I don't know about that, because he's thinking like, A, his racist soldiers wouldn't want to fight with them. B, the racist townspeople wouldn't want to help them anymore. And C, these guys, they're like not even trained, But also he does need men. So the slaves go off to do, the former slaves go off to do the work, but like this isn't the end of the argument. Okay, so this is the gimmick. We're doing this. We're gonna be, for the rest of the book, intercutting between the main Animorphs plot and this Civil War plot. Okay, how do you feel about the Civil War plot, Jonathan? I'm hearing some noises over there.
I hated that I had to listen to you say that. I hated that I had to read it the first time.
Uh-huh.
I hate this.
Uh-huh.
Okay, let's see. How can I...
Yeah, tell me what you're feeling right now.
I mean, the feeling as I was reading this...
Uh-huh.
Immediately... What the fuck is this?
Uh-huh.
What percentage of this book is this going to be?
Half.
What could this possibly be leading to? Am I supposed to care about this? Why am I supposed to care about this? Does this matter? Is this now this? I think it's a terrible choice. But as you said, one of these characters' names is Jacob, and we're in a Jake book. Mm-hmm. I'm like, is that supposed to be Jake or analogous to Jake? Or don't tell me this. You're not going to tell me this is some fucking time travel shit, and it turns out Jake went back to the Civil War
and met his great uncle, but he was black.
Right,
he like it black when he went back. Maybe it's Jake and Cassie's kid. It's Jake the second.
Yes. It makes no fucking sense. God. I'm like, when are we getting to a beaver? No. When does he turn into a beaver? This is like 3 chapters. Is this like it keeps going, or maybe it's 2.5 or something?
I think it's 2 of him in the basement, and then 2 of this, and then we're back. But like we switch back and forth. It's like 1 to 2 chapters of each, and then 1 of each. Like for the rest of the book,
yeah,
just
it's
intercut.
Not clear. The first time it happens. Jake wakes up after we cut back to him, and I'm like, okay, so I guess he was reading this and this is his dream. He just imagined that kind of stuff. It's setting the stage going forward. Did he sit down and read this whole journal, or is he reading it as the book goes on, or they're just giving that to us?
Yeah, so I never thought about this before, because as a kid I was just like, yeah, this is the diary that Jake read, and then it's like intercut. Reading it now and paying attention, I'm pretty sure Jake does not read this diary. Like he flips open to the first page and looks at it, and then just puts it away, never reads it again. And at the end of the book, he flips to the last page to see what it says. And this is what was in it if he had read it.
Yeah, and then later on when he publishes this, as all the Animorphs books in universe are published.
Right, of course.
He's like, it'd be fun. Let me just grab that thing and stuff it in there. Because you know what? Not that much actually happened this week. So I better fill it out.
Oh, yeah. Not that much happens in the main plot, for sure. That's how I would characterize it.
Also, I'm like, this guy wrote a detailed-ass journal, but we can talk about that more later too. I am not. If this was not clear already from previous episodes, I mean, we just had a modern military book. Mm-hmm. I'm not interested in any period of war. At least not like. I mean, look, here's the thing. The sections of this Civil War stuff, they're not badly written.
Mm-hmm.
Like, I think there's a world where these characters could even be sympathetic and interesting, and I could be like, oh wow, the slaves in the North and the South and whatever. But certainly at this point of the books, this early in the book, it's just, there is no reason at all for me to feel like I should give a shit about what the fuck is happening here. Because it's not, this book's not about the fucking Civil War. Like, why the fuck do I care? And most of these sections, if not all of them, I really was just reading through them, just like, I don't care. Just get to the end of this section so I can get back to Animorphs. None of this is relevant. And it'll become relevant in a way later on, but not nearly to a great enough extent to actually make me ever care about it at all.
Yeah, I'll 100% agree with you. This is the most I have ever read these sections. This read through. Like, again, like as a kid, I have the same reaction to you. Like, okay, I don't care. Does this matter? Who cares? On all of my rereads, I'm just like, oh, I guess this is the book. Because, like, I know there's a book where half of it's the Civil War. Which one is it? I never remember. It's somewhere around here. So I get to it and I'm like, oh yeah, it's this one. Okay, whatever, I'm through it. This time I was like, all right, let me actually sit down and read it and pay attention to what happens during the Civil War. And, same thing you said, it's not a bad story or bad characters, and it's not badly written. There are times where I'm not sure it's that well handled, although I think the primary criticisms I'd have toward that have more to do with the juxtaposition with the modern day than with the story itself. But yeah, like as you said, there's just why should I sit down and read this? Like I only sit down and read this because I'm doing a podcast. Why should I not just skim through these, be like I'm just get to the next part, I'm done, get to the next part. For what reason? And then there's no answer, like there's no reason. You shouldn't read them. What's the point?
Like I'm trying to come up with a comparison, but I don't think there's a better comparison than just saying what this book is doing, which is 47 books into the series. Half of a book is about the Civil War.
Yeah.
It's like there's no rhyme or reason to this. I mean, there is, and again, we will get to what that is. But there was for at least the first half of this book, every time I read one of these sections, I just was like, well, I guess we just won't. Like, we're just not going to talk about this on the show. Like, I have nothing to say about this because it doesn't matter. We can just skip this. This episode's going to be an hour long because half this book is just nothing. Who cares? It's not anything.
Yeah, 100%. Well, we won't skip it. We'll talk about it. I also do think that our conversation is going to be pretty front-loaded because the things that happen don't matter. Like, all that matters is kind of the big picture stuff, which you can talk about as soon as it's introduced. So
it's all there in service of a metaphor or in service of, like, informing a comparison to Jake's character. But again, Jake's not even actually reading this.
Yeah.
And you could maybe do something with it if Jake was thinking, like, oh, I got an idea from this journal I read, or I'm inspired by the story of my Civil War hero relative. But he's not even aware that we're being forced to endure this.
Yeah. 100%. And the thing is, you're saying it's in service of a metaphor, and that's true. But like, man, you've already pointed out the problem here in a way that I didn't even notice yet, which is that, boy, it sure does seem like, okay, so Jake is obviously Isaiah Fitzpatrick because that's his ancestor. That's the point of view character, right? And then Fitzhenry, yeah, that's right, yeah. But then you've got this guy who's leading the freed slaves, whose name is Jacob. So is that Jake?
Yeah,
I don't think that that's supposed to be Jake. But, like, is it? And there's going to be more points later on where I'm going to be like, it sure seems like these should be the connections, but it's kind of implying these are the connection. And it's not.
Yeah.
It's muddled. It's not well put together. And you know, you know what? I had planned my rant about that for the next section, so I guess maybe we can move on if you want.
Let's. This was the first rant of several.
The first of several. Okay.
We can just move on. We now know this is what the book is going to be.
We now know.
Ready.
All right. Okay. So, cut back to Jake. He is woken up early by a phone call from Cassie, and it's a coded message. You know, they always speak in code on the phone, and she's saying that the Valley of the Free Hork-Bajir is in trouble, and he's got to get there immediately. So he heads out, and Toby's there. Remember, Toby, the seer. Mm-hmm. And she explains that one of the Hork-Bajir from the Valley has been captured by the Yeerks. And so the Yeerks they know where the Valley is, and they're coming, and there'll be an invasion soon. They're going to bring an army and invade the Valley. And the Animorphs, including Jake, are all like, oh, Toby, you have to flee. You have to get out of here because, you know, we can't actually stop them. They're going to kill you. And Toby is like, no, this is our home. We're going to stay and fight. You know, it's important. You know, it's important that we defend this valley because it's, you know, like who we are in a sense. We have to fight for it. So the Animorphs are like, all right, well, then we're going to stay and help you prepare defenses. All that I just said is intercut with some more Civil War stuff. Fitzhenry visits a hospital. We meet Sally Miller, the nurse who everyone loves. Fitzhenry talks to a Confederate soldier, the one who cut the telegraph line, and they shot him. He's in the hospital, and he says that the Confederates have like 500 men who are coming soon. Fitzhenry talks to one of his own sick men, Mac Carson, and Mac Carson's like, you gotta let those black guys fight. This is their war too. We meet a Joe Miller, Sally Miller's husband, and he's also helping out with the trench digging, and he hosts a Christmas party, and he's a racist, and he's like, I won't work near those guys. And how dare you say that you might need them to fight? I won't. All right, so that's all intercut with that. Okay.
Let's start with some of the good stuff here, I think.
Yeah, go ahead. Start with what you like.
Now I know you said, and you're probably not wrong, that maybe it's not really given enough time or fleshed out well, but I did like that at least we're addressing that there's an awkwardness between Jake and Axe.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, I guess it doesn't really amount to anything.
Yeah, listen, I like that paragraph.
Yeah,
I just wish it were more than that.
Right, sure. But you know, as I was reading it, I was like, "That's nice." Mm-hmm. I like the overall of this scene. The premise is fun. We don't get to see the Hork-Bajirs that much. We don't really do a lot with the Valley usually, so it's always fun to come here and see Toby.
Mm-hmm.
And I love the Hork-Bajirs being like, "Fuck off! We're gonna fight you, fucking cowards." Which I'm like, yeah, of course they're gonna fight. What the fuck off, Jake?
Yeah,
they're gonna fight.
Yeah, and I do like that. I like that idea of like there's some tie to the land here. They're not just like fighting for self-preservation. They're fighting for like a home. And if we just like leave, then, you know, like we don't have this like identity of place. You know, we don't have a place that's really ours. We just exist wherever we are allowed to exist. Whereas like even if we have to flee, if we at least stand and fight first, then like we kind of stake a claim to this place. I like Toby. Toby's my favorite. What can I say?
Now, at this point, am I wrong or is it not clear? Was I just not pay attention? They say a Hork-Bajir was captured.
Yes.
And they're going to use it to find the valley. They don't say who that Hork-Bajir is until much later, do they?
Did they ever say who the Hork-Bajir was?
I thought at the very end, don't we find out that it's the kid of like Ket and somebody or Het or somebody and somebody else? Isn't it somebody's kid?
Jera and Ket, Toby's parents? I thought at the end they said that Jera and Ket had another kid, but I didn't. Maybe I'll look at it again if you want.
When we get there, I mean, we can wait till we get there. It's up to you. I don't know, but I don't know. It seems like either way, it's weird if that's true that they don't mention it here, but it's also weird if it's I don't know. It is surprising to me that this is the first time this has happened. Aren't they constantly carrying out raids on the Yeerk pool and Yeerk headquarters and freeing Hork-Bajir, and they've never had one get captured before now?
Yeah, no, it is kind of weird. That's a thing that came up in book like 23. We were talking about this and then we just kind of forgot about it. It hasn't happened. Another thing that just doesn't get questioned is, so this Hork-Bajir is captured, so they know where the valley is, so the Yeerks can find it. They apparently don't know that the Animorphs are human, right? Like they must, because it's not even like, oh, well, oh no, is there going to be a problem? And Toby's like, oh no, fortunately, like we make sure that we tell all the Hork-Bajir that you're Andalites, actually. Like they all think you're Andalites except me, Jera, and Ket. Like that's part of this. No, nobody even questions it. Like none of the Animorphs raise this as a possibility. Like we're just not worried about that.
You see, so Hork-Bajirs are just really stupid.
But the Yeerks infesting them are not, and they can look in their memories, so I don't know.
Yeah. Well, they're so stupid that their brains are just empty.
Well, be careful, because these Hork-Bajir are being positioned as analogous to the slaves, in the American South. So you might be saying something very problematic right now.
Well, I would never want to do something like that.
Yeah.
We'll get to that in a second. But first, I want to talk about also. We do get to see Marco's parents here.
Yes.
Oh, first of all, small note. I like that Tobias is on Rachel's shoulder. I think that's cute.
That is cute.
I don't feel like that happens all the time. I think that's fun. Also, Toby is 7 feet tall now.
Yeah, she's like full grown now.
Yeah, that's like what's a Hork-Bajir's growth cycle?
Yeah, I mean, at this point, I do kind of believe it. At this point, she's probably like 3 years old, and I could believe that maybe Hork-Bajir only lived till like 10 or 15 for some dumb reason. The Arn did weird shit, whatever. It was a little bit less believable when she was a newborn infant in the Hork-Bajir Chronicles, and then next book she was like leading raids out of the valley. Right. That was a little much, but
I mean, she's a seer. What can you do?
Yeah.
It's not the most. We will see a worse instance of Marco's parents, in my opinion, that I'll complain about later. But in this one, they're just in there, and I'm thinking, okay, Marco's parents they're here, right? Like, what are they doing? And the line is,
I sure have it written down.
Yeah, Marco's parents were as diffident as the Hork-Bajir. They stood impassive and expressionless, feet firmly planted on the hard-packed dirt.
That doesn't sound that bad until you realize that's it.
That's it.
All they do is stand impassive and expressionless.
Visualizing this,
that is the least a character could possibly do. Like if they just stood there, they'd be doing more. You went out of their way to say they were doing less.
It is written as if they couldn't afford to get the actors on set that day. Like, it doesn't, like, if we give them lines, they're extras. We have to pay them for the day if we give them a line. Like, there's no reason in a book they wouldn't say. You don't even have to put it in quotations and actually, you could just say they said something, anything. Just give them these are adult humans. One of them is formerly Visser One. You don't think she has insight that might help the situation? It's crazy. She has nothing to say about this.
It's pretty bad.
What the fuck?
Again, this is... It all comes back. It feels like this Invade the Hork-Bajir thing was just one of many plots K. Applegate threw together and was like, I'll put these together in some order. And then it was like, oh, this one happened to come after Visser 1 got freed? Well, okay, Ellen, you better write a paragraph where they're there, or a sentence where they're there, just so people aren't wondering, like, where are they? Like, that's how it comes across. Like, this just came out of a batch of stories that go near the end and were tossed out in some order, and then you do, like, a quick pass once through to make sure there's enough details that it fits, but you don't have a real editor. Yeah.
Yeah. It is so weird. Anything else about that, or should we now move on to the Civil War again?
Cassie mentions her meds. We can move on to the Civil War.
Yeah.
Okay. Well, yeah. What did you want to say?
Well, I mean, like, as you said, at this point in the novel, so right before this, they're talking to the Hork-Bajir also about how you can't, it's dangerous for you to go here or here because humans aren't willing to accept you. They're not tolerant.
Yeah.
Right? They said that at this point?
They do say that around here,
They did, yeah. And then Axe is like, yeah, humans are pieces of shit. And I was like, fuck off, Axe. Go fuck yourself, you Andalite bitch.
You're right. Anyway, you're right to say it.
Yeah, I'm right to say it. No one, by the way, sorry, I know now I'm going back to, I know I said we're moving on, but no one suggests, what if we tried to rescue the captured Hork-Bajir? Which it feels like we've seen 25 rescue missions of a Chi or an Animorph or somebody. Like, that's not even a possibility that maybe would make sense to try to do that before they can use them to get to the valley.
Yeah, I mean, it does, they don't talk about it. It does make sense. Like, the idea, I kind of get the idea, like Tom is saying, I got to do preparations the night before. So it kind of, like, I get the impression that they're like, no, the Yeerks are already mobilizing. Like, they're gathering. Tom was out last night gathering forces. And like, now we're at the last second. We got to do something now.
Okay.
And that kind of makes sense, but you're right. They don't really mention that. And given that that's usually what the plot has been in those situations, yeah.
So you can kind of make it work. But
if we didn't have 2 chapters where we went back to the Civil War first, it would have been made to work, I think.
Right. There's a lot you could have done if you removed all that Civil War stuff. A lot.
Yeah.
50% of a book, in fact. But anyway, going back to, as I said, this issue of like, oh, humans are not tolerant, then directly to the Civil War. At this point, it seems to me that, okay, so the metaphor then is that the slaves, the freed slaves here, are the Hork-Bajir.
Yeah. And let's be real.
Line we're drawing.
These Hork-Bajir are freed slaves. Like, they are literally freed slaves. So it's pretty hard for that not to be, like, you must be supposed to read this as a direct parallel, right? You have to be.
Yeah. I mean, yes. How could you not?
Yeah.
How could you not?
Yeah.
Put a pin in that.
Oh, yeah.
For later.
We will put a pin in that. Talking about that more in general before we get to, like, the specifics, I guess. So one of the things about sci-fi is that you can talk about these very general ideas. Like, the Hork-Bajir already kind of were like freed slaves, right? You already kind of have this idea of like, oh, the colonizer, the slaver, the like fighting for your freedom, that kind of thing. But like, because we're using aliens, it doesn't have to directly parallel anything. Like, you should be reading that into it, but it's not the only thing you read into it. And one of the advantages of that is that if your minor details don't like quite sync up, it's not a huge deal, because I'm talking about a more general idea, right? But like, as soon as you start to say, oh, well, the Hork-Bajir just are like black slaves in the American South in the 1800s or whatever. Like, that's what we are talking about. What we are talking about is the Civil War. Now, all of a sudden, I feel like you have to handle it a lot more delicately. Like, you have to make sure that things sync up a lot better, because you're not just kind of doing big general ideas. You know, you're talking about a specific group. And so if your specific ideas are off, well, those you're making statements about that group that are now off. And this is also part of the question that I'm having for, is Ellen Jarrow black? Because that becomes even more of an issue if you're talking about like a cultural history that is not your own, right? Now it's even more of a big deal. And it is worth noting, I am talking about a cultural history that's not my own here. I'm not black, so, you know.
Yeah, a lot of listeners do assume we're both black. But
right.
we have to clear that up a lot.
We've gotten a lot of letters about it.
Because of our sensitive treatment of Cassie's character.
Right.
Primarily.
Yes, true.
Oh God, what the fuck was I going to say before I said something so stupid? What were you? Right. I was going to say something even stupider. That's what it was.
Oh, good.
There was a funny old tweet that maybe I showed you. When the Star Wars Force Awakens came out, and we were introduced to the character of Snoke, everyone loves this. This is going somewhere good.
I love it, personally.
Snoke was a big hologram, and he looked like he was giant in Force Awakens, remember?
I do remember.
We didn't really know what he looked like.
Yeah.
And there was a tweet that was made by Nick Weiger, who's a comedian and a podcast host, who wrote, "Is Snoke big?" That was the whole tweet. And I feel like our equivalent is maybe we should tweet, "Is Ellen Jarrow black?" That's the question. Anyway, that's what I wanted to say.
Okay, that was worth saying.
Yeah, is Snoke big? Is Ellen black?
But yeah, I mean, because I'm gonna keep wanting to say, like, there are issues and discrepancies with the way things are characterized that rub me the wrong way and come off as kind of problematic. But like, yeah, like, how much of that is like, at what level does my discomfort with the treatment become a problem when I'm not, even black? I don't know. Like, that's a tough call.
I mean, I will say, as of an educated person on this subject and all subjects.
Yes, please.
It doesn't read to me. Well, a few parts are not great, but you can tell that whoever wrote this, their heart's in the right place. It's not.
Yeah, this is not malicious. I don't.
Right, certainly not malicious, but not even in my opinion overall. Again, my dumb perspective as a white non-slave, non-Civil War veteran.
I
feel that overall it comes across pretty well. Like, this isn't an example of, oh man, I can't believe how poorly this aged. It is a little. I mean, look, there's some language in there that's not strictly offensive, but probably. And it's probably accurate to the time period too. It's just not what you like expect to be reading in a kid's sci-fi novel. So it's like a little jarring, and as a white person, it makes me go like, oh, am I supposed to? I don't even know. Am I supposed to feel uncomfortable with that? Somebody has to tell me. Somebody tell me how I'm supposed to feel about this. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, that's really the whole. If it was just like, oh my God, I can't believe how poorly this aged, then it would be very easy as a white guy to just like say like, oh my God, why is this so bad? But it's not. Like, that's the thing. The worst I could say about it is that, oh, it's kind of problematic, which puts it into this space where it's like, how much of that can I declare? All I can say is there's definitely some bits where it gets uncomfortable for me.
Can you imagine if this was a time matrix and the Animorphs went back and got to actually help the freed slaves or some shit. Like, that would be bad. That would be a recipe for disaster.
They almost listen. In Megamorphs 3, they do have the scene where the racist calls Cassie the N-word, and she turns into a polar bear.
Yeah. Also, at this point, I was still struggling to understand a connection here and like why I should really care about this. And at some point, like I forget, they're like introducing Isaiah's friend, and I was wondering, am I supposed to be? Did you ever see those? I feel like this is a trope of kids' TV shows where they'll have an episode where like this month in school we're learning about this time period in history, and you'll see like they imagine of a daydream where all the characters play the parts of that, or like a wishbone thing, I guess, where wishbone becomes whoever the character is in the book. I'm like, am I supposed to be envisioning that Jake is like, if this were live action, if this were an episode of the TV show, would Jake in real life be playing his great uncle? Because they also keep talking about how he looks very young and like he doesn't look like he's fit for this, which is analogous to Jake as the leader. And I'm like, is this other guy supposed to be Marco? There's also, they do have a reference to a cinnamon roll in one scene. I'm like, is that intentional? Like, is there supposed to be an axe analog here? But they're really not doing any of that. This is just me desperately trying to draw lines together.
Yeah. I mean, there's parts later where like who are the freed slaves supposed to be in the real world gets so confused that I almost wonder, like, did that somehow happen accidentally? Like, was Ellen just like, oh, I want to write a Civil War story. Let's just write two things that mirror each other. There's a valley. They have to defend it against an overwhelming force. You know what I mean? Oh, Toby is going to come in and be all like, we want to fight. And Jake's going to be like, I don't think that you should for reasons that are practical. And that'll kind of be like it's the same. And just don't worry about it. They're just going to parallel each other. And I'm not like, it feels insane to say like, what if you're not supposed to draw, like it's not supposed to be a metaphor? Because then what is it supposed to be? And like, how could it not be?
What is it supposed to be? I have to tell you, I'm almost done talking about this book.
It's fine. I fully expect a lot of my thoughts to be like front loaded here, and then I'll just like point out examples as they happen. But
yeah, maybe we should have read that second email. No, it'll be better. It'll be better later.
See. Can I talk about some things that already are a little bit muddling with the whole analogy, the whole like whatever metaphor here? Okay, so like immediately Jake starts thinking like, is it our place to like meddle? Like, does that make us like the Andalites meddle? Because like you've got this problem of Hork-Bajir versus Yeerks, and I'm trying to come in and tell them like, oh, whether you should leave or stay. Like what's the difference between the two of us? And it just like it really kind of like that's not what's happening in the Civil War, right? Like the Union soldiers it's not like, oh, well, that's an issue between the slaves and the Confederates. Like the Union guys, that's just a completely different group, right? There's no connection there because they're the Union, right? Like that's like a totally different place. We're going to come in and meddle in your like it doesn't work. Like you're part of the same country that's been doing it. Like that's the whole point. Even, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
Or like the humans and the Hork-Bajir. Okay, so the Yeerks are trying to enslave the humans too. So what does that make Jake? Like if Jake were like part of the Yeerk resistance movement coming in to like help Toby out, maybe it would work better because you're like part of the same entity or empire. It's weird. It's weird in a way that's, I don't know. Like it almost feels like trying to make that comparison is trying to like separate out the Union in the Civil War from their own culpability in it. Like the whole point of the Civil War, I don't know, whatever. I don't know. It's complicated. It's hard to say it out, but hopefully you kind of get what I'm saying here, right? And like within the Civil War story, they do talk about it. Like the Union soldiers are racist. They, even though we're fighting to free the slaves, we still don't want to treat them as equals. That's like there. But then you draw comparisons to the Animorphs and it doesn't quite line up. And it's not like outright bad, but the fact that it doesn't line up and the fact that it's about a real thing, it makes it uneasy. It makes me uneasy. Does that make sense?
We're very uneasy. Yes, yeah. I mean, I largely understand that it's not. Yes, the comparisons are a stretch at best. We hypothesized that maybe the people doing the cover didn't know what this book was about. Mm-hmm. I wonder if all this Civil War stuff was there a mandate at Scholastic that was like, hey, the kids reading this are probably starting to learn about the Civil War. This book is for kids. We need some educational content. Fit in some like real history into this book so that we can say that our books have educational value to them or something. Because I can't. It's hard for me to imagine. I could be wrong. It doesn't feel like K. Applegate was like, oh man, I have an idea. Let's really make this about the Civil War. I just find that strange. I don't know how this idea came to be.
Maybe because, Ellen Jarrow put this idea in on her own without telling
I don't know. But it's such a stretch, like you said. It does not feel like these two ideas were meant to be together. It's bizarre.
I'm almost wondering, because this book would have come out when I was in early middle school, and I do seem to recall there was some point in middle school, it might have been a little later than this book, where, like, when I was in 7th grade or something, where there was, like, some weird class thing where, like, you would, like, you had a small group project where you would go to, like, an elementary school, and then you would, like, present a lesson to the class there. Like, and I seem to recall doing this about, like, some Civil War book and like,
you
making
did a presentation
hardtack
on
for them.
This book.
No, it wasn't this book, but I'm almost wondering, was there, like, some big, like, popular Civil War book that came out around this era, like for children, that this is trying to do something with? Like, why? I don't know.
Yeah, I don't think it was this era, but isn't Johnny Tremaine the big one for kids? Isn't that Civil War? Or no, that's Revolutionary War? I don't remember.
That was his Revolutionary War.
Yeah, you're right. Yeah, I don't know if there's a real Civil War kids book. It's kind of...
Yeah, well, in my memory, it was like a thing that, like, was of the time, so I was trying to figure it out.
Yeah,
I don't know.
Yeah, the Civil War was real hot back in the year 2000, man. All the kids were talking about it. How about this? Would it be better if Jake, who we know canonically is at least part Jewish, what if it was a World War II? Grandpa G was in World War II, which wasn't he in World War II? Or was he in World War I? I don't remember what the...
Oh, geez. I feel like it was World War... Oh, no, wasn't it? It was World War I, wasn't it?
Maybe it was, but...
I think. I don't know.
Maybe. I almost feel like, would the metaphor be better? I'm saying this as I'm thinking it, so it may not work. If the flashbacks were to World War II and the Yerks are like the Nazis and the Hork-Bajir are like Jews locked up in a concentration camp or something, or in hiding.
Here's what I think. Part of our problem with not being able to, like, make solid declarations on, like, contentious issues here is the fact that neither of us are black. You are Jewish. So if you want to declare that that's how this book, that would have been good, I'll take your word for it. That would have been good if you say so.
Yeah, it might have been good. I think it probably is too much of a downer for a kid's book to really talk about the Holocaust that much. I mean, whereas... like, this isn't focusing on the slavery part. It's like the triumphant part of the Civil War, so to speak. And there's not really a triumphant part of the Holocaust for the Jews.
Yeah, this could have been Inglourious Bastards. Is what it
right. Yeah. But I think metaphorically, it's a better fit.
Yeah. I think Rachel would probably be the bear Jew.
It's not going to get better than that, folks.
Yeah, you can just turn this off now.
Call it here.
What else are we going to do from here?
Holy shit, what an amazingly specific joke. Okay, can we move on?
All right, yeah, let's we'll probably start breezing through these. All right, so Jake starts scouting out the area around the valley to prepare for the battle. There's this group of like campers nearby that seem to not be controllers, and they're like in the path of the battle. He also finds a bunch of beavers damming up the stream. The beavers, they're here. So Jake's like, okay, so what if we became beavers and we help them dam up a bunch of water, and then we'll release it and flood the Yerks out of the valley, like in Isengard in The Lord of the Rings. That's what he says
metaphor I want
in the book. And
we should have been cutting back and forth to the Battle of Isengard.
I would have fucking loved it. That's what Animorphs need, is some Ents.
New fan edit. Oh, you kind of get a sort of an Ent. Okay, just keep going.
Yeah, well, they acquire beaver. They start helping build the dam. And in the Civil War story, Fitzhenry has to like relieve Sergeant Spears, who's looking over the like Jacob and his men digging the trenches because Spears is being racist. And Fitzhenry's like, hey, Jacob, you know that if we lose, they won't just capture you. They're going to kill you. And Jacob's like, yeah, I know. And anyway, that happens.
Great.
So we finally get some beavers.
Yeah, they're excited. It's fun. They're beavers.
There's like, so here's the thing. There's like a whole aside here where they do animal facts about beavers.
Sure.
Like they slap their tail on the water for danger, or like this is the beaver lodge, and like here's how big they are, and their incisors never stop growing. Like we're doing that this late in the run? Like this late in Animorphs, we're still doing animal facts?
I mean, in general, beaver feels like it should have come after skunk, you know? This does not feel like the linchpin of a key plot-heavy scenario.
Yeah, like early in the series, you know, it's like, okay, we've got this fun gimmick they can turn into animals, and part of the reason you read it is because you want to learn about all the different animals, so it's kind of fun to see all the animal facts. And again, just like the Civil War thing, it doesn't even matter if it's good. It's like, I'm reading it to finish the story. I'm done with the animal facts. I don't need to know about beavers. I like learning about them. I like beavers, don't get me wrong, but like...
Would you like it more if there were hundreds of beavers?
I don't know what that is.
It's a movie. You haven't watched it?
I haven't, no.
You gotta watch Hundreds of Beavers.
Okay.
Maybe that should be on Patreon.
I do want to. Now that you've told me about it, I want to.
Oh, yeah. Oh, I don't even know. You'd love it. Or you wouldn't. Anyway, everybody out there, go watch that instead of reading this.
Go watch Hundreds of Beavers.
It also seems like they catch that beaver real easy. Cassie's just like, let me just wait out here, and then you scare it, and then she just grabs it. Like, it seems like it would struggle. I mean, I know she acquired it, goes into a trance, but she just grabs it. I got it.
Yeah.
I mean, what do I want? They don't have time to figure out beaver catching, but it's kind of funny.
The beaver parts of this book also feel very, like, abrupt and not, I don't know, tonally consistent with the parts around them. Like, they do also feel like we're still on the mandate of you need a new animal. Like, all right, cool. Here's the beaver scene. You happy with that one? Listen, I'm trying to fight for the valley. You want a beaver scene? Here's a beaver scene. Did it. See, now you got the beaver facts. They turned into a beaver, see? Okay, cool. We can move on. Like that. It does feel like the book doesn't actually care about these beaver sections where they do this.
Yeah, it's like, this is what you chose to focus on. 50% Civil War, 20% beaver facts.
I don't even think it's that high. It's just like a little, like, I don't know, but it feels very just like, it feels like an aside. It feels like I'm like the book itself is like, All right, fine. Like this was inserted in after the fact to make sure there's a beaver part.
Yeah, he's on the cover. He had to do something with it.
Yeah.
Are we talking about the campers, or is that just the next section?
I was going to get to them in the next section because I wanted to talk about the beavers. And I also wanted to talk about another part that it is fully possible that you missed, although I think this is like right up next to the campers.
Okay, then it might be something I want to say, but go ahead.
Okay, they can morph clothes now.
Yeah. That is what I was waiting.
Let's talk about this bit right now.
Yes. That as it is written in the book, they find these campers and they're like, okay, we're beavers. Let's go talk to those campers.
Mm-hmm.
It says, thank God we could finally morph some halfway decent clothes. The result of a whole lot of experience. Boys in t-shirt and jeans generally look a lot saner than boys in spandex.
Yeah.
47 books in.
Mm-hmm.
This is when somebody decided, you know what? They can do clothes now. And it's just no big deal. We don't need to explain it. Just like with, they were talking about going public. They also get clothes now. Don't worry about it. How did they do it? Why did they do it? Was it a big deal? Were they excited? Was it an important moment or scene? They can do it now.
That one actually feels like a K.A. Applegate decided that should be the case a day before publication. And it really feels like that because look maybe 3 or 4 lines down and you'll see that immediately Tobias is is talking about morphing outfits and how they're out here in their morphing outfits, which are apparently regular clothes. So why does he say it? Like
that's a great question.
It really feels like that line was stuck in here, like I said, the day before it went out.
Or was this just Ellen being like, hey, it's kind of weird. Are the campers going to look at him weird? You know what? They're in clothes now. Oh, okay. Okay, sure.
Yeah.
This should be...
This
should be a whole book.
This is a huge... it's huge. Yeah.
Like, they're all estrenes now, essentially. Like, can they all do this? Even Axe can do it? Can Cassie morph like a hat, too? Because she's that good? Like, what? There's so much to unpack here that I want to know about. And at this point, it feels like, well, this just won't matter ever. Who cares?
Yeah. I think it really feels like in some later books, K.A. Applegate was like trying to figure out situations where they had to be in places with clothes and was just like, they should know how to do that at this point. Cause like that would make my life easier. Cause it always made it like, we always had to deal with that fact. And I'm done dealing with it. I already had this idea for what's going to happen here. And you know what? Ellen, go fix that for me, please.
For it to be, and also so casually mentioned, just an aside. Oh, by the way, we're wearing clothes. Like, are you kidding me? That's like, so many of the early side plots hinged on them dealing with their clothes, and they're buying new shoes and having to stash their clothes in the bathroom stall or whatever. It's just like, we're almost done. They don't have to do it anymore.
When we finish the series and we're in our like final series wrap up, I'm going to ask you, at what point did they begin being able to morph clothes? And you're going to be like, I have no idea, because it just kind of happens. It's not made a big deal of. There's like, how the hell could you possibly, it's like, there's not a story. In what story do they learn how to do that? I don't know. It's not important. They don't have one.
The week in between this book and the last one. They're like, oh, we can do it. That's good.
Yeah. Again, in terms of not remembering this book, like, I could have, I've reread the series a number of times, and yeah, absolutely. I would have told you by the end they can morph clothes. At what point do they learn that? I don't know. I just reread it, but I don't know.
It's just because it makes all those times. It's not this bad, but it's almost as bad as if they were just like, oh yeah, we figured out how to stay in morph past the 2-hour limit, by the way. So that's not a big deal anymore. Anyway, like this was such a big source of issues, and now it's just Why? Like, why was it ever an issue? Why couldn't they just do it? Like, why didn't you just write that they could morph clothes from the beginning? They didn't learn anything to get over this. There was no arc. There was no struggle. Why?
She was sick of writing it. Like, that's the only explanation, right?
And they weren't even writing. Like, half the time they still were just like, like they just didn't mention it. They were just like, they're in a morphing outfit.
Don't worry about it.
I don't know.
Yeah. Yeah.
What the fuck is happening here? It's crazy.
All right. So let's talk about these campers. So Jake and Tobias go to clear out the campers while the rest of the Animorphs keep helping the beavers. They meet the camper Richard Carpenter and his kids Lewis and Emily. There's like 16 total people at this campsite, but those are the people we meet. And Jake tries to pretend like there's this huge storm coming and the park rangers are telling everyone to clear out, but they don't buy it. They're like, "Oh, kids, this is very rude of you to lie to us to try to get our campsite." And Jake is like, "You know what? Fuck it. Fuck it." And he morphs right in front of them. And they're like, "Holy shit." And Jake's like, "Listen, there is an army of aliens and they're coming, and if you stay here, they're going to kill you." But it turns out that the campers are all like weirdo hippie Trekkies, and that they already believed in aliens, and they're like, "Oh, cool, you guys are aliens too. We'll fight in the alien wars with you." And Jake's like, "You guys will all be killed." And 3 of them are like, "Oh, okay, in that case, we're not going to stay." But the other 13 are like, "No, we're gonna stick around and help anyway." And Jake's like, "Okay, fine, whatever." Now, meanwhile, back in the Civil War...
Who gives a fuck? Who cares?
Sergeant Spears, he's like, "Oh shit, the rebels are here," and there's a huge fight, and like Jacob and his men are like fighting with shovels rather than leaving, and they just barely repel the enemy, but it was just like a small bit of force, and it's going to be worse. And now even the racist Mr. Miller's like, "You gotta arm them boys." And that's okay. That's what happens over there.
First,
how do you feel about
thought?
Yeah, tell me your thoughts.
First thought is this is the exposition part of the book. 60% into the book, Jake explains to them all about the Yeerks and what's going on. I don't think they do that really in the beginning of this book, unless I'm. Unless I missed it.
You might be right.
Like this, I think this is the most prolonged exposition in any Animorphs book. By prolonged, I mean.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah.
I see what you're saying, yeah.
So I thought that when I was reading that, I was like, they kind of snuck that in there. All right, that's interesting.
Interesting. Yeah, I just kind of, because Jake had talked about all the ways the war was like weighing on him in the beginning, and I guess I just kind of was like, yeah, and this is where he explains it. But yeah, you might be right that he doesn't really do the details back then.
Yeah, he doesn't do the whole spiel.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, the campers here.
Yeah.
Big picture, it just feels very shark jumpy to me. And I don't know. It's hard because it does seem like, I don't know if you have to do it, but it seems like at some point it's likely that, obviously at some point the Animorphs secret will get out. I don't know if it's obvious. It seems to me the direction you're gonna head with this story at large is at some point the alien invasion becomes public knowledge.
Mm-hmm.
But something about the way they do it here, I don't know what the better way to do it is, but I guess it's the fact that the campers immediately are all just, "Oh, cool. Mm-hmm. So you're aliens, there's aliens, we're going to help fight. This is fun." It feels almost weightless. There's no struggle with understanding it or coming to terms with it. They don't have questions really. They're not like, "Wait a minute, so it's a good thing none of us, I guess, happen to be controllers. That's lucky." I don't know how we figured that out.
They did say that it looked like they had enough supplies. They'd been out longer than 3 days, so they assumed none of them were controllers. But I mean, the campers don't know that. I don't know.
Yeah, but also, I don't know. It's hard to know what the coverage the Yeerks have really is at this stage, but it seems like a group of 16 kids and adults. I mean, I guess the ones who were controllers just stayed home that weekend. They were sick. Whatever.
Yeah, like really, this decision is very, like they make this whole big deal in the back of the book, and then this big deal at the beginning. We've been debating on whether to reveal ourselves to the public, and then like they don't really reveal themselves to the public, right? They reveal themselves to a small group of people that like probably nobody would believe anyway. But like normally they wouldn't have done that. Right? So we've kind of got this shift in mindset. Oh, we can start revealing ourselves to people. But like it's not going to be this grand plan to make sure that it's all revealed at once so that like the world will know even if we get caught. No, it's just gonna kind of be fly by the seat of our pants. Screw it. We'll just let people know as they come along and see what happens. We'll just see what happens. Come what may, whatever. Probably, what if maybe they'll tell somebody, or maybe they won't. Maybe the Yeerks will capture him, or maybe they won't. I don't know. We'll tell them to keep it secret, but like, who cares about operational security? Whatever. Fuck it. Like, it feels very like willy-nilly, you know what I mean?
We're tired. Yeah. I don't know. And it's also not like we're desperate. We need these campers to help us. Like it seems like realistically they would only be a liability. They're not hunters. They're not
just like, completely untrained random, like they don't civilians. They don't know shit about shit.
And we're not going to give them the Escafil device and have a bunch of bears.
Yeah.
They're just nerds. I guess, like, they don't even stress that, they have survivalist skills or anything because they're out camping. They just seem like regular schmoes.
Yeah, and that wouldn't even matter. They don't need survivalist skills. They need, like, trap making and killing skills.
Yeah, it's so weird.
And Clark kind of alluded to this part, but like this is where the like mixed metaphors start really getting kind of upsetting because we just said, these guys are kind of like happy-go-lucky dumbasses. They're just like, oh yeah, I love Star Trek. This will be cool. I'll just go join the war, and they don't know what they're doing, and they're gonna get themselves killed, and they're totally untrained. And like immediately after this, we're going to get a training sequence like with like all the freed slaves. So it's like we got to train them. And now it feels like instead of the Hork-Bajir being the freed slaves who are like, I may not know war, but I know about slavery. And that means that like I can risk my life and I'm willing to put myself out there. And there's like something like kind of radical to it. Now it feels like you're drawing the comparison with these guys. And it's like, oh, those stupid former slaves, they just don't know, right? Like, they don't have any training. They're just going to be a liability. They'll just get in the way, because, Isaiah was even thinking that at the beginning of the book. He was like, these guys aren't trained. They don't have weapons. What am I even going to do with them? And it just feels like kind of extremely insulting if that's the parallel we're supposed to be drawing here. And is it? Right. Maybe it's not what we're supposed to be drawing.
What you're supposed to be thinking is the other side. You're not supposed to be thinking the slaves, are less than. You're supposed to be saying, the campers are like the freed slaves in that they're determined, they're willing to learn, they're like the secret weapon that everyone's underestimating, but they're actually going to turn the tide of battle. I think that's what they want you to think.
Interesting. But it feels, if that's really what they want, the problem is that, like, they don't feel like they matter later on when the tide is turned. Like, what matters is the beaver dam. And at this point, there's so much comic relief. It's just so like, oh, yes, Trekkies. Oh, yes, the Prime Directive. And Jake's like, no. You're gonna be shot and killed. And they're like, yes, the Federation, hee. And you're just like, what a bunch of fucking dumbasses. It really, it's not good. It's not. And the fact that those two chapters are right next to each other, like, how can I not think that this is a parallel?
And also, just on a structural level, this is now the shift, like you said. Oh, I thought the slaves were like the Hork-Bajir. Now they're like the campers. So which is it? Is it both? Was it always one or the other and I was just misled or reading it wrong? Like, you can't just do both. You can't just switch halfway through to a different metaphor.
Yeah.
It's confusing.
And I guess the campers are humans, so they're potentially Yeerk slaves, but then so are the Animorphs, so then maybe Jake is Jacob. Like I was saying earlier, like if you're just talking about this general idea of like fighting for freedom, then like it's kind of fine if the details don't sync up or if things are a little bit messy, because like the broad strokes are there. But we're not talking about broad strokes, we're talking about a very specific incident in history, so like you need it to line up better. When the metaphor gets kind of mixed up, it really feels bad.
Yeah, it's not good. Here's one thing I liked. Is when they first see them and they're morphing to show off their morphing, and Jake says, it had been a long time since I remembered. It was also very, very cool. They don't really go into this, but I like I think there's a fun idea there of like, oh yeah, morphing used to be fun and like it's fascinating and exciting, but they've been so weighed down by the war efforts. But I think it's cool that he's like, oh yeah, morphing is fun. Like I wish we had more time to explore that idea.
Yeah. Agreed. I like that a lot. Yeah.
Yeah. I also just needed to point out there's a line when one of the campers says something, and it's written, absolutely, said a female adult.
Uh-oh.
What?
Uh-oh.
Wait, why are you saying uh-oh?
Oh, because, well, the problem is that you're not terminally online. So you don't know about the TERF slogan, adult human female, as the definition of a woman and why trans women aren't women.
Yeah, I don't know about that. So,
well,
all I know is I think there's a word for this that's woman. Like what? Who the fuck?
Uh-oh, hold on.
Female adult.
Hold on, John. You're starting. Hold on here. Don't. I think you're saying something.
I'm not saying anything bad. You're making it out.
Woman,
you're
adult, human, female. That's what John's saying over here, and I don't think that I approve.
Female adult is not. That's who writes. Did Eric the Chi write this? It's so weird that that's in there. Anyway, it's just one line. We can move on.
Okay. I bet you weren't expecting that, huh?
I never know what to expect with you.
All right. Yeah, let's move on. Okay, so like look, I feel like we should be blazing through this. We keep stopping and talking too long. All right.
I know.
All right, so they bring the campers back to the valley. They and the Hork-Bajir keep preparing defenses. Jake tells the other Animorphs about what he did, which is kind of a crazy thing to have just kind of done without talking to them. Although I don't, whatever, fuck it. He tells them, and then he goes and helps Ax and Tobias with the dam some more. He helps to fell a tree, which is good because otherwise he would never be a beaver, and this couldn't be the Beaver book. So I'm glad we had that aside. We see back in the Civil War, Fitzgerald and Rains do the thing I said. They train the guys to use rifles. There's a guy named Samson who's kind of a pain in the ass who we see. They do the whole like load, aim, shoot thing, and then Isaiah swears them all into the army. Yay! Okay. This is basically more of what we just saw, but I want to pause before we get to the actual fighting.
Yeah, I have a question.
Anything to say here? Yeah. Ask.
Is Toby legit psychic, or what the fuck is the deal with Sears?
Yeah,
because,
right.
I thought they were just really smart.
Yeah, that is what it's supposed to be, yeah. I think
in
what
this
it's supposed
scene,
to be.
Toby's like, I knew that you were coming with these humans. I heard it from the trees. Like, wait, what?
Yeah, that bit really feels like I don't really understand Hork-Bajir Sears, but like I know they're called Sears, so presumably she has mystics.
Yeah, I mean,
Whatever,
maybe
I
they
don't
just
know.
shouldn't be called Sears. in the first place. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, listen, I like the idea that like they're seers to their culture, but like really they're just like way advanced. I like that, but yeah, I don't know.
Okay, so that's weird. We do this to me. This section has the most genuinely, seemingly problematic
Yeah.
lines.
Yeah.
When one of the slaves repeatedly, as they're learning to shoot a rifle and all this stuff, they're really excited and gung ho about it. And a couple of times has a line where they say, and I quote, I will just read this out loud. It is in the book.
Okay. You're not going to do a voice or anything, right?
I'm not going to do a voice.
Okay. Just don't get us in trouble.
They say, but I feel like if you haven't read the book, this for context, I'm going to read this. I wish my massa, Massa, could see me now.
Mm-hmm.
And there's 2 or 3 times they say something to this effect about how exciting it would be if only their former slave master. Like, the implication, I guess, is, oh, they would feel stupid or ashamed. But you also could just read it as, oh, man, they'd be proud of me. Like, it's not really made explicit.
I kind of took it as the idea of, like, he'd probably have a heart attack if he saw I had a gun. Holy shit. Ha-ha,
yeah, I mean,
I rule. I
right,
get it.
Yeah, but it feels really,
and like I could see it. It could be fine. But it's also one of those things where, like, again, it immediately follows the stupid Trekkies just being stupid comedic Trekkies, right? Like, if this were just like kind of a charming scene with like maybe charming's the wrong word, but like if you just had like this young boy who's like excited to have power for the first time in his life, but maybe he doesn't really understand the war that's gonna come up, but like, he's gonna do his part anyway. Like, this scene could like have, I could feel it. I could see it being good. I wouldn't mind it. But it's immediately after you're supposed to be laughing at all these idiots not taking it seriously. And it really feels like you're supposed to think this guy's such an idiot. Like, this guy's also the comedic relief, right? The funny guy talking about his massa. I don't know. It doesn't feel good.
I think the crux of it for me is that it centers his character as being intrinsically about his slavery, right? It's like, even now as a freed soldier, the number one thing on his mind, his sole characterization that he's vocalizing is about when he was a slave. And that feels like you're robbing him of a character or you're just saying, oh, this guy's thing, he's a slave. That's who he is. He was a slave. He had a master. He doesn't now, but he's still thinking about his master. That's still important to him, whether it be, it's like there's a there's a line in Community, another one of my famous tangents that's nothing. When Troy Barnes, as portrayed by Donald Glover, is like, should I wear my high school jacket because people I think it's cool, or if people think it sucks, or should I wear it because this guy and Jeff Winger says, either whether you wear it to impress them or you wear it to spite them, either way you're doing it for them, and that's what's not cool. And this is a long road to walk. Sorry, but this is how my brain works. I wish it worked differently, but it doesn't. But for like, it's about that slave master relationship, which I guess if you're a freed slave, it's hard to avoid. That's going to be, especially in the Civil War, that's probably is at the forefront of your mind. But like I said, it just feels limiting to me. It feels like It feels like a restriction. What's the word I'm looking for? You're minimizing this person in a way. It's like the obvious thing to write. Like, oh, well, they were a slave. They're probably thinking about all that slave stuff.
And this is also one of the issues where, like, I don't necessarily want to directly attack it as a white guy, unless I know for a fact that Ellen Jarrow is also like not black, because like. There is potentially something like poignant to be said about the fact that, like, okay, you'd like to say that doesn't define you, But if you've had this this massive this has to, if you are a slave, that kind of has to define your identity. You can't separate yourself from the fact that you, or at least it's very difficult to separate yourself from the fact that you grew up under that system. And so this is going to remain core to your identity. It's like oh, well, I don't see race. And it's like, but it's important. It has to be important because that's what the society is. And if it were if you are saying this as an interrogation of your own identity, that could potentially be something very poignant and meaningful. And I don't just want to be oh, you're minimizing yourself. But I do agree with you that it doesn't feel like that's what this is doing. This doesn't feel like that. This feels like someone from outside talking about it. Yeah.
Yeah, if there was more to these characters and this business of the Civil War, which I don't want because I want less. But if you're gonna do it, and it would feel better to really flesh them out, but there just isn't time for that, or I don't know, who gives a shit? It all sucks.
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, it's not good. It's not good.
He destroys this one guy's camera.
Oh yeah, that sure happens.
Or he destroys the film when the guy's taking a picture and he's like, this is fun, and Jake's just give me that. Smashes it. It's wait, so we're going public, but fuck you for taking pictures.
Well, they're not going public. That's the thing. He's just we're not going public, but we are just going to start telling people as we meet them. We're not going to go public. We'll just assume they won't tell. Yeah, but again, the fact that they're you have to be secret or else they'll kill you all, and the guy's oh, I'll take some pictures. Again, they're goofy dumbasses, right? So why are we drawing this comparison to Samson goofing around with his gun? Yeah. I don't like it.
And I thought I had it highlighted, but I can't find it right now. But this is where this other section is with Marco's parents.
Oh yeah, it is in here. They do some stuff with the Hork-Bajir.
Jake basically says they're helping the Hork-Bajir, unless it's I think it's in this part before the battle really starts. They're helping outfit them or train them or whatever, and Jake is they look happier and healthier than I'd ever seen them. It's they were born for this kind of lifestyle or something. Basically just, hey, isn't this convenient? There's any possible drama you might have mined from Marco's dad being reunited with his mom, is still being in love with Nora, her trauma from her years of slavery and horrible shit she's had to do and endure, his trauma of thinking she's dead and now having to abandon his life and fake his death and live with aliens in the middle of nowhere. It just turns out they're just both really happy here. They don't even have anything to say about it. They're doing great. The end. Move on.
Yeah.
That sucks.
It does suck. And part of it, I wonder how much of it comes from because as you have to start getting more and more public and actually introducing adult characters and stuff, you do, and we're going to see that a little bit with Richard Carpenter in this very book. Remember the dad here. I feel like you do sort of run into this problem that you sometimes get with kids' books where it's it's a kid's book. The whole point was that the kids were doing it. The kids are the only one who know, and Jake's in charge, and he's a kid. And then it's well, now you've got this adult who is Visser One. Shouldn't she maybe be in charge? No, because it's a kid's book. It's got to be about the kid. It can't really, the kids don't care about the adults. Having the adults now take the central position kind of ruins it. So how do you walk that? I feel like I have that same complaint, but it's almost a more adult complaint. Hey, they're having real adult problems. I want to hear about that drama. And as a kid, maybe you're yeah, I don't know that that's as interesting to me as the aliens or something.
Yeah, I mean, there should at least be a discussion of, hey, maybe I should be in charge, or I don't know, or not even in charge. Just give some fucking input.
Yeah, and it's reasonable that she wouldn't want to be in charge or whatever. But I think that you see this as a bit of a problem in this book, and I think we're going to see it as more of a problem later. Or maybe not, but we will see it.
They need to do the Rugrats thing, and you'd have half the episodes were about the adults.
Yeah.
And I never
right.
complained about it. I was gonna say something else that was probably gonna be really good, and it's left my brain. But
All right. Well, I'll say something really stupid, and maybe that'll give you a
okay.
chance to remember it. I really like the bit where Richard shows up and shakes hands with a Hork-Bajir, and the Hork-Bajir says, "Hello."
Yeah, that's fun.
That's great.
I guess like it is kind of fun. The campers meeting the Horks. I guess I don't know. It's okay. I remember what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I knew
It's
you
not.
would.
Well, it's not really. It's really. It's not. It's not good. The audience won't like it. You might like it, but they're not gonna. No one else will like it.
Okay, that's fine.
I was just gonna say, why did the moron throw the carpenter out the window?
Why were you gonna say that? Oh, I see. Because it's Richard Carpenter.
Because it reminded him of Richard Carpenter.
Oh God.
Anyway, don't worry about that. Cut that from the episode. If you don't even worry about what I just said. I should have saved that for after the show.
Oh, Jesus Christ.
It's fine. It's fine.
It's
if you want to know, if you want to understand what I'm talking about, send an email.
Okay.
P.O. Box. And finally, I think before we get to the battle here, there is some more of that bold text, right?
Oh, yes. I almost forgot. Yes, we get more of that bold text. It says, "The countdown has begun. It will all be over very, very soon." So that, we got more. So we're still getting it.
At this point now, I'm like, okay, now this is not, obviously this is leading this, it has to be the Ellimist. Maybe this is all leading up to the Chronicles. Maybe that's what this is. Like, there's no way this is significant, clearly, after 4 times they've done it. But anyway, whatever. We'll see.
Anyway, yeah, it's there. It's there. Yeah. All right. It's important we note it. Okay, so the Yeerks finally arrive. And there's blue bands. Remember the blue band group?
Yeah. The blue band blue band group. I see.
Yeah, the blue band group. Yeah,
that's fine.
Yeah, it's good. I just came up with that. Jake starts giving out orders, and Richard comes up to him and is like, "Hey, so we're not actually gonna get killed, right?" And Jake's like, yeah, it's too late now, dumbass." And he's like, "Oh shit, oh no." But his kids are like, no, we get it, Dad. We're not gonna leave. So they're all there now. And the fighting starts. Hork-Bajir are like throwing spears. The Animorphs are fighting. There's like Drake on fire. They repel the first wave of Hork-Bajir, but then the main force, including Visser One, former Visser 3, shows up, and Visser One has morphed into the 8-headed, 8-legged, 8-everything thing from Book 1, if you remember. He fought them in the Yeerk pool as the too many 8s thing, and it can shoot fireballs and stuff. So let's cut to the Civil War for a second here. The main rebel forces also appear, and the battle for Sinkler's Ridge begins, and that they also repel the first wave. And Isaiah's like, "Jacob, you gotta run while you still can, because they'll kill you." And Jacob's like, "No, I'm gonna stay to the end." And then the rebel force, the Confederates, they charge again from like different directions this time, and they like pincer them in, and the Union soldiers fight back, but they get overwhelmed, and both Jacob and Isaiah die. They both get shot and die like at the same time. So what about the Animorphs? Do they get shot and die too in their story? Are you worried?
I'm falling asleep.
They break the dam with the beaver thing, and they do the Isengard thing with the Yeerks, and the Yeerks get flooded out of the valley, and they win, hooray! But Richard Carpenter died, and Emily and Lewis have lost their dad. It's very sad. Yeah. So this happens.
Oh my God.
I don't give a shit about Mr. Carpenter. Do you care that he died? Does he matter to you? You give a fuck.
I mean, I am kind of like, wow, they fucking did that. They did kill one of those innocent randos.
Yeah, he did die. That is on them.
I mean, it's dark. I mean, these children now have no father.
Yeah. I don't think Emily and Lewis show up again. Maybe they do, and I'm just not remembering. But you would think that now they have to live with Marco, and maybe they could get Escafil devices too, and you could have 2 more Animorphs for the rest of this. But no, I don't think that happens.
Did they send them to live with the Chi, maybe, or or what?
I'll pay attention and see if maybe they get mentioned, but I don't remember these kids at all, so presumably they're not around.
I feel like are you closer to your mic than usual? I feel like I'm sensing more plosives from you this week. You know what I mean? You know about the plosives?
Yeah. I don't know.
Just go easy on them.
All right, I'll go easy on the plosives. Ew. My mouth feels bad.
Just fucking okay. This is getting gross now. So I looked ahead from what I was talking about before, and you're right. It is not really. There's a part where after the battle, it says out from under Rachel as a grizzly bear, Jera and Ket's newest child was there, and it says Rachel had kept him alive. It doesn't say that that's the one that was captured. I made that assumption. I think the reason I made that connection was because during the battle, they specifically subdue and capture the Hork-Bajir that led them there, that's infested. And they're like, we can try to starve that Yeerk out and save him. And I rationalized it as like, oh, well, if that's their kid, that's like a big deal. Versus, we got to save that one. There's like 100 other ones. Well, slaughter them. Like, why? Just because that one led them there, it's special. It feels strange to like we must save that one. We like that one. That's our friend.
I mean, it is their friend.
But it's trying to kill them just as much as all of them.
If Rachel got captured, they would want to save Rachel more than like rando human number 7.
Yeah, but
that's Rachel.
I don't know. Sure. But it just, I don't know. I thought it was weird.
Yeah. Sure, I guess.
It's just one of those things. It's just like, well, why just him? No other ones? Like, they don't even tell you his name. Like, that's why I was trying to say, oh, maybe it's their kid. Like,
then it would matter, yeah.
Yeah, I don't like. Because you got to give me something to go on with this guy if I'm gonna care that you saved him.
I'm sure, yeah. I barely even noticed. So I'm not gonna lie. When I read these for the podcast, I'll like read them once through so that I can like kind of do it uninterrupted and get it like I can kind of pay attention to how I feel about it. Because if I'm stopping every 2 minutes to be like, let's write what just happened. Let's sit here and actually think about it and see if I have something to say discussion-wise. It can, like, break up the feeling of reading the story. And the first time I read this through, I didn't notice that Jera and Ket had another kid. I didn't notice that they captured the guy that... Like, I didn't notice any of that. Like, I only noticed they had a kid when I was, like, paying attention and trying to write down what happened.
They don't even say, like, oh, by the way, they had a kid. They're just like, oh, their newest child came out.
Yeah.
As if that was introduced earlier.
Like how they morph clothes.
Yeah, it's like, what? I guess this was happening while we were reading about the Civil War. This stuff all happened.
I guess. Yeah. I don't know. Fuck the Civil War bit.
Water is super effective against fire morphs.
Yeah. I don't have anything to say about this other than I don't care about this Richard death. Is he supposed to be mirroring the fact that Isaiah and Jacob died? Or is that supposed to be foreshadowing, like, what if Jake loses the war in the end? Like, what is that? Do I care? Does it matter?
I think it's just, it's just supposed to be, the losses of war. Like, you have to, you got to kill somebody for this battle to feel more important. Otherwise, it's like the Animorphs just are too good at everything.
Mm-hmm.
You got to have a red shirt, basically.
Adding in. Makes sense. They get the Trekkies to be the red shirts here.
That is, don't they say they like have to take off their colored clothes because they need camouflage? I think they might literally say red shirts.
I thought it was like bright yellow.
Yeah, I think they say yellow and maybe orange. They'd say a couple colors,
Mm.
but it would be funny if it was red. It's, you know what sucks is when you burn the roof of your mouth on alien blood that's hot.
Sure. Yeah,
That's
that
what
sucks.
happens to Jake. Then we find out that this Visser One's morph has hot blood. He's hot-blooded. Check it and see.
I think that happened in the first book where he used this morph too. Is this the first reused morph that he has done other than like human? I don't know. I don't care. It doesn't matter.
Seropedia might know.
Yeah, they might.
Okay, the book's over.
All right. So like they do end up leaving the valley, right? They're like the Yeerks will be back, so we'll have to leave the valley, but Toby says, we won today. The valley is ours. We've paid for it. So it's like, okay, cool. This victory still, in some way matters. Jake heads home, and he, like I said at the beginning, he flips to the last page of the diary, and on the last page of the diary, it literally says, oh no, the battle's getting really bad. I'm dead. And Jake, like, reflects on Fitzhenry and is like, oh no, what will my fate be? So
I know why he lost the battle, because he's fucking walking around with a notebook all the time, writing down what's happening. My dude, you're not a fucking journalist. You're not a historian. You're supposed to be fighting. What the fuck are you doing?
Can I read it? The last words in this journal are, hooves trampling the dirt all around, screams and wails of bloody dying men, unending nightmare, cannot get a full breath, numbness spreading down my arm, vision blurring, growing narrow like a field glass? Is that a typo in my PDF? I'm gonna have to look that up.
No, it says like a field glass. I don't know.
Like a field glass.
Maybe is that like a Civil War thing, maybe?
I guess. Anyway, a darkening tunnel. ...
Oh, maybe it's like a telescope, like a spyglass. Like narrow.
Yeah, that would make sense. Anyway, the point is he literally he's doing the thing where he's just like scrawling like, I'm dying.
Yes, it's like finding someone's journal entry in a video game like BioShock, when it's just like everyone's just writing down what they're doing all the time, I guess.
Yeah.
It's so, I mean, I guess I gotta give him some credit, because I do, at least it's canonical, and I'd be more annoyed if somehow we just had a window into this flashback and it was unexplained. Because, I'm a stickler about the reality of these books being written. But it is stupid.
Yeah. It's the Monty Python and the Holy Grail joke. The castle, maybe he died while writing it. That joke.
Yeah.
At least in Lord of the Rings, the guy in Balin's tomb, like, he's not writing like, I'm dying. He's like, drums in the deep, we cannot get out, they're coming. And you can imagine if this guy's supposed to be like the whatever you call it, the recorder, the scribe, he's like writing his thoughts as they're bashing in the door, because he's like, well, fuck. He doesn't write, oh no, I've been stabbed. I don't know.
Yeah, I mean, it's not like the moments before the battle begins. He's literally dying on the battlefield.
The last words in the journal are a darkening tunnel. Like, he wrote that.
No, wait, no. There is a little more.
Oh, there is?
On the next page, he says, I fear I am killed. I hope I have done my best. I hope.
Oh, I think I got confused because... Oh.
Isn't it? Yeah.
Yeah, I missed that because Jake's like, right after Jake's like, how would my last page read? I hope it's like this. Yeah, no, he does literally say, I fear I am killed.
Yeah, it's even stupider.
It's even fucking stupider. Jesus Christ.
Okay, so Civil War shit, we all know it sucks. I also don't really care for... The valley is ours. We'll never leave. We must defend it. Okay, good battle, everyone. We have to leave.
Yeah. I mean, I sort of get this, the idea that, like, yes, they're going to have to leave, and we understand that the whole time, but it's important that we have fought for it, because that gives us a connection to it. Like, as Toby said, we paid for it, so now it's ours. That being said, this valley is magical, right? Like, literally, there's an Elemist enchantment on it. Yeah. This has been like a whole thing. Like, the Yeerks will never find them because where will they even go? Where could we even put them? They'll just be found and exterminated. They can't. Oh, but fortunately, the Elemist gave us a valley. So, this should be a huge deal. Like, this should be like an entire book, right? Like, they don't have their valley. Where are they gonna go? Another valley, I guess, but where? How? Won't the Yeerks just immediately find them if they aren't, like, protected by magic?
Yeah.
And I gotta tell you, I'm pretty sure... I mean, there's not a whole nother book about them finding a valley, and I'm pretty sure the answer to this question is they go to another valley, and now they're in another valley, and just, don't worry about it. They're there now. Like...
Why don't they go with the chi? Go live with the chi!
I'm sure there's some explanation that I'm forgetting, but it certainly doesn't stick in my memory as, like, again, you would think...
We need trees.
You would think that Marco getting, having to fake his death, and them having a full-on battle with the U.S. military, and the Hork-Bajir being displaced from their valley, should all be, like, earth-shattering books that, like, you can no longer just kind of do story of the weeks in any order. It doesn't matter, right? These change everything, and yet you could kind of have done these in any order. It doesn't really matter, right? Which just... Come on.
It's strange. It's like it gives the impression of being extremely important. But yeah, when you lay these things out in front of you, they are not that important. I don't know. It's a very weird contradiction.
This is kind of what I was saying earlier when I was like, you could have started the end game. Like, we could have broken season 4 for 45 and called that the beginning of the end game, but you also could kind of just not do that.
Yeah.
So,
well, I think the last lines of this book are an apt metaphor for the end game. When Jake says, "How would my last page read? How would my story end? I hope I have done my best. Yeah, me too." And that's how I feel. I'm like, I really hope they do their best. I am nervous about how this story is going to end based on some of the things we've been reading. Feels a little bit on the nose, those lines.
What if I told you that the very ending of Animorphs is controversial?
Well, I actually do know that. I'm aware. I have it. Maybe we'll talk about this in our season recap about what some of the things I've heard.
Okay, that's true, because like we do usually do a what do you expect or hope or fear. So okay.
Yeah. Yeah, we still have an Elemist Chronicles before we close the season out. So that's gonna be big.
Yes, and that is I think something that's worth noting. Is that I think that if we were gonna break it into like the true endgame books, I would start at 49, not 48. But if we include 48 in this season, then this season becomes the longest season and also doesn't end on a Chronicles. So we'll give ourselves one book to get into next season. We're doing Elemist Chronicles, and then we're wrapping up season 4.
Oh, well, okay. So let's do the pop culture.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, pop culture, yeah.
Pop culture. Okay, first of all, there's a lot of Civil War references to the Civil War, Lincoln, Nathan Bedford Forrest, who was
a real guy?
That's a real guy. Yeah, that's a real guy. I looked it up.
Very good. What about Isaiah Fitzhenry? Is that a real guy?
He's real too. Yep. All that stuff.
This
is real diary.
Okay, good.
Jake says, "Don't worry, I'll catch an egg McMuffin." Marco says, "Going beaver to save an entire colony of aliens is like putting James Bond behind the wheel of a minivan."
I do love going beaver.
Marco has a couple funny lines in this book, by the way. He didn't say them, but there are a couple good lines. Olympic-sized swimming pool. I think I've used that before. I'm counting it as a reference to the Olympics, a man-made pop culture event. Marco fantasizing about the Beaver Lodge.
Oh
boy,
I like this part.
Marco's Beaver Lodge would include Britney Spears, Brandy, maybe the girl, not the drink. Which I'm glad he clarified, because I did think he meant the drink. And being in the year 2024, Brandy, the person, is not a reference I immediately go to. I thought this was a good one. In the Civil War period, they referred to the rebel yell, so it's kind of a call forward to the Billy Idol song.
I don't know that it is, but okay.
No, I think it is. It's sort of an anachronistic reference, but I think that's maybe the Ellimist gave them that song.
That's reasonable.
He also says, talks about being able to see the whites of their eyes, reference to,
I did think when I got to that line, I was like, why she wrote that.
Right. Star Trek references. Are you with the Federation? Oh, these people spend way too much time watching Star Wars. Can't you just beam us somewhere else? This is not a Star Trek episode. I'm not Captain Picard. I can't beam you anywhere. It would violate the Prime Directive. Are you official Trekkies or something? Some dialogue from a Deep Space Nine episode. And also, they also mention a Model 61 Springfield musket.
Woo.
Okay. So, can you just tell people how much Ellimist we're reading for next week?
Yeah. Actually, I did want to ask. Yeah, whatever. Fuck it. Yeah. So next week,
I'd love if you asked something.
I was gonna ask, how do you feel about Ellen Jarrow? I know we're supposed to do that before pop culture, but I got all mixed up.
No, that's fine. We sometimes have a little postscript after the pop culture. I will say, I'm an Ellen Jarrow stan. This is her final book she wrote for the series.
Mm-hmm.
Can't say it's her strongest effort.
Mm-hmm.
Very unfortunate that it kind of really puts a damper on her run, in my opinion. Who was otherwise, we're gonna, like I said, our recap's coming up, but otherwise, I'd consider her almost the saving grace of this season. I don't know if I hold this book against. It's always hard to know who do you blame, if it's K.A. Applegate or Michael Grant or the ghostwriter or the publisher. There's just so many cooks in these kitchens that it's a little hard to know where to lay blame or where to give praise sometimes. But I'm still in her corner. But yeah, it is unfortunate that this is the way we went out, because this is. This book is pretty bad.
Yeah. Well, yeah, I did. Like you said, I did know that this was a book of hers that I didn't like, and I did know that I wanted to give it another chance because it was, she was the ghostwriter. But yeah, no, I don't think I'm changing my opinion on this book.
So. That's pretty fair.
All right.
Next week.
So next week, we are going to be doing the Ellimist Chronicles, and we are going to be doing what is basically the first half of the book, which is First Life. There are 3 parts of the book, plus like prologue and epilogue. But the second 2 parts are about as long as the first. So we're gonna do First Life of the Ellimist Chronicles. That's what we're doing.
Is that roughly, out of curiosity, like the length of an Animorphs book, or?
It's going to be shorter.
Okay.
I could get like the actual numbers up, but yeah, no, it's going to be shorter than an Animorphs book, but like all Chronicles, especially, you can imagine with the Ellimist Chronicles, every fucking thing we see is going to be brand new, and we're probably going to have to talk about every sentence, like the Hork-Bajir Chronicles.
Yeah, well, if you like hearing us talk about every sentence and you enjoyed this podcast, you can get more of it by going to patreon.com/theyerkyboys. Support us over there, just $5 a month. Bonus episodes every week about Animorphs and Animorphs adjacent content. This week's pretty cool. We're going to be reading The Puppet Masters by Robert Heinlein.
Mm-hmm.
And this is very relevant to Animorphs. It's one of, if not the first fictional media about alien slugs, parasites taking over human brains.
Yeah, last week we finally got into some animal morphing. Now we're back to alien slugs. So
we're back to the alien. You can't get away from them for too long.
Can't get away from them.
But that should be fun.
Yeah. Is that everything? Are we good?
We could say to email us again at theyerkyboys@gmail.com.
Yeah, email theyerkyboys@gmail.com.
Mm-hmm. Or you can just ask, is that everything? And that also will prompt me to say it. So either way is fine.
Thanks, everyone, for listening. Tune in next time when we'll be talking about the Ellimist Chronicles' first life, in which we finally see the Ellimist on the Yerky Boys.